Hello, it's Tuesday and welcome to Sabba's Way of Life. So, a couple of things to talk about today based on what I've done. One of the things that's really important today perhaps wasn't in medieval times, because in those days the men of the house would engage in all these activities and the women wouldn't get involved. They'll be in the kitchen cooking and taking care of the children. But things have changed today, and while I do advocate for those medieval ways of living, which I believe were the most human and natural ways of living in many spheres of that way of life, we are where we are today. So what I wanted to talk about today is that how important it is to take responsibility for everything that you do, but I'm talking about it now in a practical fashion, because we can talk about it till we're blue in the face. So how does that manifest itself? So today, let me give you an example that my car went in for servicing, and I am interested in how they service my car. I've always been interested in cars insofar as the old style and how they work, because I have a camper van for that reason, and I'm just interested in how they do it. And also, we are living in times today where unless we take responsibility for everything that we're paying for or that we're asking to be done, rather than outsourcing it, and you really don't know what they're doing these days. Unfortunately, it is sad, and it's very sad to declare an absolute truth that in many cases, most of these garages, they cheat and they try and swindle money out of you. And one of the reasons they do that is because the moral code has just completely gone. But secondly, look at the way our government works. It works in a way that we're constantly poor. We never have enough money. So they're trying to make ends meet. And the whole culture of this country and a big part of the West is to take what you can and just think about yourself. That's how it's become. That is the culture. Me, myself, and I, let me get what I can from another person. And the concept of actually charging too much and thinking it's a wrong thing isn't there. There's no guilt involved. It's all right, I can charge more if I want. Oh, who cares? They're not going to know. And I need the money anyway, because it's about me, isn't it? So what I do is not necessarily to stop them cheating, although that's a byproduct of my thinking. My thinking is take responsibility and know what they're doing and build relationships. I'm fortunate that I've got a very good relationship with my garage. Again, it's local, it's not too far away from here, and I've chosen them. They're small, they're just in a back alley somewhere on a road, and I've got to know the owners. It's a family business, father and son, and very rare these days. And yes, they are struggling. And yes, they do charge a little bit more. And yes, I have had conversations with them when I've got a quote for my yearly service. I don't just send the car in and go and service it. I said, can I have a quote, please, every year? And can you please break down everything that you're doing so that I can see what I'm paying for and I can understand what they're doing, so that I've got some knowledge. It's important for me. I talk about being a jack of all trades, a Jill of all trades. That's what I'm talking about. That's who I am. So this morning, my car went in for servicing. I'd got the quotation before. I had questioned the price of the oil, which was double what I could get online myself. And they put the price down and made it very clear to me, we have to put a markup on, otherwise we're not going to be able to keep this garage running. So I understand that, because there are so many other attributes that they have. When they do the diagnostics on my car, they didn't charge me for that. So it's give and take, and it's understanding each other. I always take my local hen's eggs over to them, or a box of chocolates. I've got too many here, and I don't eat many chocolates anymore. I'm trying to stop. So I took a box to them so that them and their staff can enjoy them. That's how it works. And then I stood there, and whilst I wasn't allowed to go in and watch everything being done, I had spoken to my brother, who's a car enthusiast, and I'd done the research to understand what needs to be done every year. I know this is really important. This may seem really boring to you, but really you've got to take note of what I'm saying. It's about writing down and reading. I had gone through all my service history. I had written down what has been carried out on each service. How many of you ladies, or even men for that matter, know what's carried out on a service? An oil change, an oil filter change. Every 2 or 3 services you change your brake fluid. There's an air filter. There's 2 air filters, one in the car, and there's a cabin filter, which is like a pollen filter. And then there are other things that need to be checked. So these are the things that I'm aware of, so that when I sit and talk to them, I go through the list and say, what about the air filter? That's not in there. It was done in the last service but last. And then they know she's aware, she knows what she's talking about, and they want to engage with you. If you have a garage that doesn't want to engage with you when you ask them questions, then you really need to look elsewhere for the few remaining that do. And it does mean take the time and do the research. So that is what I was doing this morning, and I stood there and I was with them the whole time, and they gave me quite a big discount as well because I took interest, and they can see that I'm a woman of integrity and that also has a great regard for the work that they do. You will also be surprised, those of you that have no idea about how labourers work or skilled people work. This is a skilled job, servicing cars, albeit these days many of the newer cars don't need as much skill, but there is a degree of skill required. And a lot of these skilled people, like myself, are jack of all trades. And just by virtue of the fact that they are in those sort of trades, they're far more intelligent. They think very differently. And I'm laughing because when I was speaking to Chris, the chap that runs the car service centre, he actually said to me, he said, you know what, Saba? The most dense people that come in here are the medics. And he was talking about doctors because he said they just don't, in regards to them asking questions about the car service, he said they just don't understand and they're not interested in what I'm saying. And he said, frankly, they're dense. I could not agree more, because they have been trained in a particular way that is a tunnel visioned way, and they don't have any form of lateral thinking. That's why the jack of all trades is actually often the master of their way of life and understanding most things, rather than expert in one particular area. Okay, I'm just going to, it's 8 minutes, but I'm just going to switch the camera around because I'm cooking and I just want to share what I've done. I think it would help you. So over here, I'm actually making a chicken korma, not the bastardized version of a chicken korma in the UK. No, that's not what a chicken korma is up in North India. So, and I'm just showing you how I prepare all my ingredients. You can go on YouTube and get the recipe for a chicken curry. And you can see here that I've got my garlic and ginger, which I'm going to grind in a minute. I've got the onion sliced and prepared, the chicken washed and excess fat taken off. And then I've got all my spices here, as you can see. I've got my chili, I've got my turmeric, I've got coriander. Normally in basic curries you'll have cumin, but in this korma you don't put cumin in. And you wouldn't put this in your normal curry, but this is mace, and I've got cardamom, ground cardamom over here, and nutmeg as well, and then all my whole garam masalas that are here. But this is just to show you how I'm prepared and I'm organized before I actually start the cooking process, and I'm conscious. I'm not listening to anything while I'm preparing this. I'm really focused on the food. And when you do that, the food will always taste better. Just focus on what you're doing. I used to listen to YouTube videos and whatnot before while cooking, but I watch my mother. And when my mother's in the kitchen, she's fully focused on the food. Her energy and love is going into it, and she almost intuitively knows what to put in there and how much, the smell, the taste. That cannot happen if you've got noise in the background. So when you're cooking, stay focused and don't even get into too much chit-chat conversation. All this nonsense you see on the television, cooking Saturday kitchen, it's all wrong. Get the idea of how to cook, but the whole talking and cooking at the same time is denaturing the food. And understand what I metaphorically mean by that. It denatures the food because the person that's putting the energy in to cook it is not focused. The food will not focus on you. Have respect for the food that you eat. It's there to nourish your mind. Have a lovely day. Don't forget to read the notes later. They form an important part of every video. I'll put the notes up later in the day.